Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Three at the Back podcast. My name's Darren, and as ever, I am joined by my good buddies Scott and Paul. How are you doing, boys?
Bored. Been waiting for ages.
Very eager for the season to start.
Awesome.
So boring.
No, I'm sure I'll ask that question one day, and I'll get one of you like emotionally breaking down, and then we'll just have to like
After game week 1.
Yeah.
Bench boost gone wrong.
Bench boost gone wrong. Exactly that. Yeah, listen, this is episode 6 of the new season. For us, you will probably know from previous episodes, we have a mini league set up, and we would love for absolutely every single person that's watching this right now to come and join the mini league. Scott, I think you said there's over 300 people in the league as of right now. So, you know, it's a tough challenge there for anybody that wants to join. I will just share with everybody now the league code. We'll bring it up on the screen and get involved. Open up the FPL app or on your browser, enter this code, and you should be able to enter the Three at the Back mini league. Very prestigious. Unfortunately, we had to replace ourselves with 3 actual Premier League managers for the graphic. Maybe we can work on that for next week. But yeah, just wanted to be upfront, just in case nobody's going to actually listen to the entire 1 hour and 17-minute episode. But there you have it. That's the name of our mini league. That's the code you need to join. The link to auto join will also be down in the description, as it is in the description of every episode across the season. Yeah, come and get involved and take on Mr. 1% himself, FPL Heavy Metal. Yeah, Scott, just remind us a little bit about the invitation to that prestigious league that you've been to.
Pimping out to whoever stops me in the street. Did you see that photo that my brother put on our group chat?
I did, yes.
You don't want to share that image. That was rather harrowing. Quite funny, but basically, I mean, we want as many people to join. We want it to be as competitive as we can make it. We want it to obviously be fun, but the more people to join, the better. We've got some ideas moving forward about how we're going to offer giveaways and some prizes and do quizzes and open up the group chat maybe to people that join. So yeah, lots of good things to come.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've done in previous season, we've done like mystery shirt giveaways and things like that. So there's definitely incentive there, not just to try and beat Mr. 1%, but also to win yourself a nice mystery shirt. And as Scott said, we would like to kind of build a bit of a community around this, maybe have like in real life meetups and maybe even a live recording of the podcast itself. Who knows where we can take this. Obviously, that doesn't happen without you liking, subscribing the video, sharing it around, getting the word out there. There's some new guys on the YouTube block when it comes to FPL content creation. So we
FPL
will
muscle.
Yeah, exactly. We will leave the plugging there, and we will get into the actual meat and bones of this particular episode. It's all about our Premier League predictions today. Now, obviously, we will sow some FPL chat into that because the players we pick, the team that for Golden Boot, assists, Golden Glove, will obviously, you would like to think that those players are going to exist within your FPL teams consistently throughout the season. And also, of course, we're predicting where each and every single Premier League team is going to finish in the table. Again, you're going to want players that are from the very top end of the league and potentially some of those hidden gems from the middle as well.
Are you going to explain the rules? You're going to explain our forfeit rules? Huh?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. How could I forget the forfeit rules? So in previous seasons, what we have done, particularly with the Premier League table, if we are out by, is it 2 positions, isn't it? If we're out by 2 positions, it basically equals a shot of some description. We will do a recording at the end of the season. We'll do a season review. We'll go through our predictions basically and just get absolutely mullered or be stone cold sober, depending on how our predictions play out. But yeah, listen, let's get into it. We'll kick things off with the Premier League predictions table, and again, we have some nice little graphics to share with you all, and I will bring them up on the screen now so you can see what myself, Scott, and Paul have predicted for the upcoming season. I understand that you've set it up so that the transitions are basically it's going to come in from the bottom end of the table and work our way up, right?
That's it.
So yeah, so we will see where we think that the relegation places are going to go to this season, and then we'll have a little discussion about why we think that might be the case. So there, as you can see, so interesting. So each of us, actually all of us, have got at least Sunderland and Burnley going down. Paul, you've got all three newly promoted teams to go straight back down, despite the anomaly that you discovered. That you know, it's very very rare for that actually to happen. So you're banking on it happening 3 seasons in a row, which is
it will be a Premier League first. But yeah, for me, I just I think it's a trend that the teams that stay in the Premier League are continually strengthening to the point where the teams coming up are having to spend extortionate amounts of money to even attempt to stay in the league. And I just feel like it's so difficult to compete with. You know, you look how tight it is, even from mid-table to that lower end of the table. It's very tight. It's, you know, a handful of wins here and there. So I just feel like, all these teams coming up are going to struggle to compete with that.
I think they'll struggle, no doubt. I mean, I like the signings that Sunderland have made, the Xhaka signing, the Dingra, but they come up with such a weak side. I guess they were 14 points behind Sheffield United, who finished third last season. They started the season with such a disadvantage, I think, that even all the money in the world, don't think keeps them up, unfortunately, for Sunderland. And I think they could be this season's whipping boys. But I think the three that are coming up are going to be more competitive than the three that were there last season. I will say that. I think Burnley stand a better chance than last year's teams. And I've got Leeds to stay up at the expense of Brentford, who I think are being ravaged. All their best players being sold. Management and all the backroom stuff gone. Huge transition period for them. I mean, I agree about the newly promoted side spending money to stay up. Brentford have just done nothing but sell. I know the transfer window is not closed yet, and they still got time to recruit, and they probably will recruit intelligently. But I think it's a huge ask to start a season with all those changes and not be damaged.
Yeah, I mean, to lose Mbeumo and Norgard and potentially Visser as well.
Yeah, the Flecken.
And you know, obviously the Thomas Frank factor in all of that as well. You know,
I think that's the biggest factor. I think that's the biggest loss of all, really, is losing Thomas Frank, who kind of built that team essentially. And to have such an inexperienced manager going in there, only time will tell. But I would be a little bit unnerved if I was a Brentford fan.
Yeah, I think I agree to a point, and we'll see as we move on, like in terms of like looking at that, you know, 17, 16, 15 kind of like bottom end of the, you know, the relegation dogfights, like kind of where these other teams are going to appear for us. I think actually across the sort of 20 up to the 15 range, I would imagine that there isn't that much of a difference. We've maybe just got them in slightly different slots. I am sticking true to, I think it was episode 3, wasn't it, that we discussed the newly promoted sides, and we were basically challenged to highlight an established team that may go down if one of the newly promoted sides were to survive. I've got Leeds surviving. I think the team that they've got together there, it feels like that it's Premier League ready-ish. And by that I mean that a lot of the players that they've got in that kind of band of like too good for the Championship and not quite Premier League level, but you know, as a unit, they should, I believe, have enough to survive. Obviously, big question marks over whether or not Farker is going to hang around and be the man that does that. But yeah, I just think as a unit, I've got Leeds to survive, and my established team that I thought was in danger of going down was West Ham. Now, I will caveat that and say that, you know, watching them through the summer series and the preseason games and stuff like that, that Graham Potter's kind of identity seems to have been a bit more rubber stamped on the club tactically. Fulkrug has scored in back-to-back games. Lucas Paqueta looked rejuvenated as well throughout the
Relieved, I
summer.
think.
Relieved, yeah, probably. He's actually had the shackles taken off a little bit. And they've made a really great signing as well with Malik Diouf, who looks a bit special in that left wing back position as well. So, you know, it's possible that West Ham do survive, but right up until the last sort of 3 or 4 weeks, I hadn't seen anything from Graham Potter in the back end of last season to suggest that West Ham, you know, had the guts and had the teeth to survive. And again, really, actually, you think about who they've brought in this window. There isn't anything. There was no like oomph to suggest again that they were gonna really kick on. I think they've just recently signed Callum Wilson on a free as well. Which, listen, this is
him and Fulkrug. I mean, that's hamstring city, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. It cost a lot in wages for the medical team.
Right. I think that at 33 years of age, and this is no disrespect to Callum Wilson, I get that his career has been hampered massively by injuries. There's definitely no short of quality in his game, but it's getting the consistent game time from him. And at 33 years of age, it's not a signing that inspires ambition. So for me, West Ham to go down, and like the rest of the both of you guys, I've got Sunderland and Burnley to go as well.
West Ham picked a bold one. I agree they're going to struggle this season, but any team that has Jared Bowen in it has enough. The guy is special. He should be playing. And no disrespect to West Ham, but he should be playing in a top 8 side, top 6 side quite comfortably. He's that good. And he should be a regular for England as well, in my view. So I think he'll on his own will score the goals and have the hands in attacking play to keep them afloat.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think he is their talisman for sure, and they certainly look like they're building the team around him. But it's what they're putting in around him doesn't, again, like I say, doesn't inspire that much confidence, I think, or inspire that much ambition, I should say. I mean, aside from Malik Diouf, again, like I think that's a great signing for them, but Callum Wilson and not really like clearing out much more of the dead wood that they did have around the squad. It's just, yeah, I don't know. I've just not got a good feeling about West Ham this year, despite my positivity about them last year.
Yeah, I understand that having to rely on Bowen to keep you afloat is a lot of pressure on one player. And like you said, Scott, I know he's got the quality, but eventually that type of reliability will come unstuck if you're solely looking to one player to bail you out every time.
If he gets injured for any length of time, they could be bang in trouble because they're so heavy reliant on him.
I think it was 64% of West Ham's goals came through Bowen last year.
Yeah,
it's massive. And aside from that, he's effectively married to the mob, isn't he? In some respects,
he don't dare get injured.
He'll have both Dannies after him.
Yeah.
Let's move on to who we think is going to just scrape by and certainly be heavily involved in that relegation dogfight. Paul, you've gone for Wolves. I've gone for Brentford, probably echoing a lot of Scott's thoughts. And Scott, you've gone Leeds. I mean, I think we've covered Leeds and Brentford and why we think that they are probably in and around that position. But Paul, talk to me about Wolves.
Again, for me, losing Cunha, losing Aït-Nouri are just really big losses. And as we spoke about well-established teams, I think they're probably one of the teams that are the closest to being dragged right in there and at risk of being in that bottom 3. Strand Larsen came in on loan and he's obviously been signed permanently. But I just think Cunha is such a massive miss in that forward line. And again, I know he spent a lot of time suspended last season, so maybe they might push it back down my throat and pull the goals out. But I just think they'll struggle to put the ball in the back of the net ultimately.
Yeah, I agree.
You're not a Strand Larson backer.
I like the guy. He's very physical, puts himself about, but you know, is he going to put the goals in that they're missing from Cunha, or is someone going to take up that mantle to take those goals? I struggle to see who that person's going to be in that.
It's that, yeah. Cunha can turn a game on its head on his own, can't he? With a little trick and drop of the shoulder or something.
That sprinkler magic, which I don't think
Yeah.
anyone else in that Wolves team possesses.
No. And someone like Strand Larson needs.
Anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, we might see another Portuguese wonder kid.
Well, you definitely see some Portuguese. I'm not sure if they produce a wonder kid. They'd be half the Portugal B team in some point in that. But yeah, I mean, someone like Strand Larson needs that guile and creativity around him, because he is just a physical, typical sort of number 9, isn't he? I quite like Bellegarde if he gets a run out. I think he could provide that little bit of magic. He's pretty neat and tidy. But yeah, I agree. I think Wolves will struggle. They'll be down there. And my predictions, I've just got Brentford and Leeds. I think they'll go toe to toe. I think it'll be nip and tuck, probably a last day of the season type thing. And I've just got Leeds just to have enough. I think Sunderland and Burnley will get cut adrift at some point. And then it'll be a shootout between the Brentford and Leeds.
Yeah, it'll get to sort of like game week 25, game week 26, and it'll just be really obvious that Sunderland and Burnley are just not going to cut the mustard. I think that's what I feel anyway. Okay, cool. Going into the lower mid-table, so this is the stretch from 16 up to 13. Again, some of the same teams appearing there in a slightly different order. Paul, I assume this is all in order. So you've got Fulham finishing 13th, Brentford 14, Everton 15, and West Ham 16. Okay, cool. Talk to me a little bit about your Fulham and Everton picks. I feel like they're probably going to echo my own, but yeah, let's have a chat about that.
Yeah, I think anywhere from 16th up to say 10th, they're all fairly close. I had a look at the averages over the last 3 seasons for all these teams, and they're all virtually identical. So it does show, like a flip of a coin, that there might be a point in it between a lot of these places. So I just think they're steady teams. I think but they're also inconsistent, and I think that's why they're often between 10th and 16th, these teams. So I think that's why I've picked Fulham and Everton. They don't score loads of goals. Defensively, they're all okay. I don't see them. I don't see them being at risk of being dragged in. But again, you've only got to have a 3 or 4 game lossless run, and then you're right in there in trouble. So yeah, I just feel like there's not loads of goals in there, and I think a lot of those teams struggle to consistently put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think Fulham and Everton specifically, they've got great kind of individual players and individual performances in them, like throughout the season. Like, it wouldn't be a massive surprise if Everton, for example, was to turn around and take a point off of Liverpool at some point in the season, or if they were to take a point off of City or Chelsea or something like that. But then equally, they might get smashed 3-0 by Bournemouth or something like that. They are one of those sides that they turn out for the big games, and they're quite plucky, and they get what they need out of those types of games. But then equally can't then put a consistent run together to get those like 4 or 5 win runs that would push them a bit higher up the table. I'm a bit concerned with Everton specifically in terms of their striker options. They've just brought in Barry from Villarreal, was it? Untested in the league. Don't know if he's going to be ready for the first game of the season. Scott, you were saying pre-recording, Moyes had some pretty tricky words with regards to Beto and his pre-season. Yeah,
he slammed him. Basically said he did say he wasn't good enough, and he said the player himself has been told that and knows that needs to improve. Yeah, I mean, if you have Beto in your FPL sides, I would be removing him, because he may get game week 1, but probably not a lot more.
which leaves obviously your favourite man, Iliman Ndiaye, to effectively, let's call it the Jared Bowen role. He's going to be the man that's got to do it 60-70% of the time, right?
Well, that's what he's there for. He fits into that Bowen category because he should be playing at a higher level than Everton. He's talismanic on penalties. He's a class player. Factor in Everton in the new ground as well. We spoke about it briefly before. It can be tough. You think every home game is against an opponent you haven't played there, so effectively like a first time, like an away game, even until you bed that home form in. So it could backfire, but it could also inspire them. Big crowd if they're on top. It could go either way. I think Everton will be fine. Moyes is a class manager. He'll get the team ticking. They've looked a bit indifferent in pre-season. If you take anything for pre-season form, which I guess you can't really take a huge amount from it. They've been inconsistent. It seems like they're trying to play a bit more expansive than I've seen them before, and they've been caught a few times. So, yeah, but I totally agree with that. That front line without Ndiaye could struggle for goals, but they're very tight at the back, aren't they? We've poured through the defensive contribution data, and Everton centre halves are like 1 and 2 in the list, so they're extremely tight at the back. And they'll be fine. Those mid-tables, I think Bournemouth will be the ones that get dragged from that higher level. Again, they've had their whole back line ripped up. They've lost Kerkez, they've lost the goalkeeper, they've lost Howson, just like Zabani's off as well. The lad they brought in, the left back, is it Tufo? He looks pretty decent. But yeah, to bed them in, they could be in trouble defensively. As they were shown, they got beat heavily in that pre-season game against United. And then obviously West Ham and Wolves that we've already covered.
Yeah, I think it's what Paul said there, that's 17 or kind of 16 all the way up to 10th. Really, it's quite tight, isn't it? It's very much a muchness. So it's no surprise to see we've got very similar teams just in different orders. I think the Bournemouth pick is a bit of a surprise for me. Not just that you've brought them down into the lower mid-table, but you've also got Everton finishing above them. So that is in respects to where Bournemouth finished last year. It's quite a collapse, but I totally understand the reasons for it. I think you take any team that performed reasonably well last year and remove basically their entire back five or back four and don't replace them, or certainly don't replace them with tried and tested players. It's going to be a shaky start to the season for them, and maybe they will find it hard to recover later on. Going then into that mid-table spot, and to be fair, I haven't really got Bournemouth finishing that much higher than yourself. I've actually got them to finish 12th. I've upgraded Palace to 11th, Scotty. I think
I'm not sure you can handle that, mate.
I have got
9th.
I've got Brighton in and around that area of the table again, as they so consistently have been. I quite like the idea that Thomas Frank will get a tune out of Spurs and get them back up in and around that kind of single digits again. So sort of around 8th, 9th. It's kind of interchangeable, but I've got Forest just finishing ahead of them in 8th. Again, we've got a very similar selection of teams there. Obviously, United is the biggest place one there that I haven't got, and likewise, Scott, you've got United in there as well. Just talk to me a little bit about why you guys have got them jumping up into the mid-table after, let's be honest, a pretty disastrous season last year.
You want to go first, Scott?
Well, they got to be better. First and foremost, they have to be better than last season. I'm not so sweet on them like you are, Darren. I'm not jumping on the pre-season hype just yet. They have looked better, but it's that central area. They haven't bought in that area, and that's their trouble. Their trouble area isn't that central. And if they're going to play Bruno in there, he'll want to get forward. You're nullifying your most creative player by shackling him and playing him deep. It's like the Gerrard Lampard role. One of them's got to sit deep, and you're not getting the best out of them. That's where they'll struggle this season unless they feel that in the next few weeks. But yeah, I mean, the other sides we got there, I see Forest regressing back to probably something like what we'd expect from last season. They obviously overperformed massively. I think Fulham might have a bit of a inconsistent season. and just finish on the wrong side of a few results. And then my boys and Brighton, inseparable for the last 50, 55 years. Our journeys have been together, and we've all got them together. And strangely, we've got Brighton finishing above them every time. I just think, from Palace's point of view, the European competition might take it out of them. The squad's not the deepest, and playing that Thursday, Sunday consistently, sort of from November onwards, might take it out of the players. But quality-wise, as long as we keep Eze and the like, I think we might be in for a handy season.
Yeah, I think that would be my only caveat to that. And Paul, I'll just come to you on United again in a second. But just as Scott raised it there, obviously the Eze transfer saga is ongoing. Like that noise isn't going away, and actually it is looking that like Arsenal is the potential kind of target team that he may end up at. I think that might change our predictions big time if he was to move on. And I did consider the European football as well in terms of taking its toll on the overall positioning for Palace. But I don't know. Equally, I feel like you've got a decent enough squad that you might be able to rotate out a few key positions. Again, we take the summer and pre-season with a pinch of salt, but Jean-Philippe Mateta absolutely on fire throughout the season, throughout the summer.
The three of them, Mateta, Sarr, and Eze, have been linking up very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. You remember the start of last season, the three of them didn't play pre-season together because they were split. And Mateta was at the Olympics and Eze was at the Euros, etc. On European competition, United have no Europe next year. So that can only benefit playing once a week, being able to probably prepare for the next coming game. So you must think you see an improvement from that side. Mix it with the signings they've made. They're going to score more goals. I just think that central role, they may struggle to create if Bruno's not there. Yeah, that's my only concern for them.
Fair enough. Paul, you've got them as high as 8th, potentially battling for those European places. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, again, the main point is the one game a week. The two players we've brought in Brian and Mbeumo and Cunha, does massively improve their attack. But again, I couldn't put them any higher because defensively, I still fear that they have similar frailties. They'll still get countered quite easily through the middle because, again, Bruno has to play. But because he plays with two number 10s that are technically wide players as well, Bruno can't play there adequately, so then he has to play him deeper. Mm-hmm. And like Scott said, he will still contribute in that attacking thing, but then he'll also leave gaps in behind, and then Porto Ugarte or Casemiro will be running their socks off to try and cover the gaps, and that's what
it's a funny thing, isn't it, Paul, that their best player is Bruno, but yet he doesn't fit that system.
Well, yeah, you would think they would have tried to build a system around him, but obviously Amorim's come in and gone, this is how I play. This is it. Bruno's got enough quality, I guess, to make the elements of his game work in that system, but it does have its frailties with regards to defensively. With regards to Palace, they're going to be in the, I think it's 10th. You always finish, Scott, if I'm correct in thinking that.
Yeah.
So I've got you sticking the same. I think you're one of the most consistent teams. Brighton always seem to find a way to finish above you, which is what you've already just covered. Forest, similar to Palace, I think they'll struggle with European football and the squad depth that they've got. And then, I understand Scott's point on Bournemouth, but I think their manager plays a certain way, which is perfect for how Bournemouth want to play football. Their attacking threat, I just think, is better than what the teams that I've put below them.
Yeah, they're powerful going forward, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think I'd like to think they will adequately replace the players that they've got in there because, again, they have very good talent ID in their scouting networks.
Yeah. No, all valid points.
So the Spurs pick there, Darren. You got Spurs in that row, and me and Paul haven't.
Okay, yeah, no, that's a fair shout. I think. I just think they've got to be better than last season. Much like your sentiments with United, I think Thomas Frank coming in will get get a tune out of the likes of Solanke and Kudus. I like it as a signing for them. They've got the likes of Kulishevsky that's bright moments throughout last year, and probably again was one of their better signings in the season before that as well. Does look like Son may be off, but actually
he said his goodbyes, isn't he?
I think I don't.
I've seen him crying, so I'm assuming that's him done.
From a footballing standpoint, he hasn't been an adequate asset for the Spurs for several years now.
I was just going to say, I think actually it's probably not that big a loss. You look at the Sun over the last 3 seasons. I think there's plenty of Spurs fans that are very thankful for the impact that he has had in his time there. But I think they're pretty much packing his bags for him.
Well, he's going to be one of the best players of the last 10 years, I would say.
Sure.
Easy.
He's been phenomenal, hasn't he? Really.
Yeah,
one
for
thing
sure.
they might miss is he's probably a team leader within the group. So
yeah, agreed.
That could be a miss that's, I guess, not foreseen directly.
Yeah, for sure. But similar to your sentiments with United, they have to be better than.
Well, they will be better. Right? There's a guarantee that both Spurs and United will be better.
Yeah, agreed. I think that
last words.
Yeah, clip that.
I mean, the outcome of them not being better is being relegated. Like, they can't really do much worse than last year, and if they do, they won't be in the Premier League for much longer. That's a stark thought to take in. I like what you actually said last week as well. I think you had Solanke in one of your drafts, and you were talking about like Frank's impact on someone like Dominic Solanke could get the best out of him and get some goals going out of him as well. So, yeah, I like it. I like it as an option for Spurs to be floating in and around those single digits. Let's move in to Conference League positions. And Paul, you've got Spurs finishing 7th, as have you, Scott, and I've got Villa. So actually, we're not really that far off each other with regards to our Spurs predictions, really. I think we both.
I had Brighton in there up until the 11th hour. I just thought that
just couldn't do it, could you? You just couldn't.
I personally, as a Palace fan, have nothing against Brighton. I really respect them as a club, the way they've grown. That their recruitment is one of the best in the league. And I think they'll have a good season. I had him in that 7th place, and I'd fancied Thomas Frank because I think he's a phenomenal coach, and I've watched loads of his tactical podcasts, and I've read loads of what he gets on the training grounds with the players. And I just think that group of lads at Spurs are such a talented group that someone like Thomas Frank comes in and makes it work because he keeps the game very simple. They'll defend better. He'll get the best out of every player on that pitch because he just instructs them to play to their strengths. On that basis, on the Thomas Frank basis, Brentford get relegated and Spurs finish 7th.
Interesting. All right, fair enough. I've gone Villa to finish in the Conference League place for me. I thought they did incredibly well throughout the season last year. Thought they went toe-to-toe for the most part with the likes of Chelsea and City and Forest for that top 4 position. Just not quite good enough to see it out in the final couple of game weeks.
Just run out of legs, didn't they?
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
And being blown away in the cup semi-final didn't help.
Yeah, no, definitely did not help. And I can kind of see the same thing happening again this year, but maybe just a little bit in reverse in many respects. I can see them definitely going toe-to-toe with the likes of Spurs, Forest, Brighton, in and around that mid-table this time, but just coming out the better of that pack of teams and solidifying a Conference League position.
Well, they spent a fortune. We touched on it before. That they flirting with the PSR rules. They probably broke some of the rules and they had to tiptoe around certain loopholes to get themselves clear in that. Banking on Champions League football.
Yeah.
So, the same will be required this season. I'd imagine as a minimum requirement. Otherwise, they could be financially in a bit of strife. So if they finish where you got them, they'll be bang in trouble.
Yeah. It's an interesting one, isn't it? But you know, they can always take the Chelsea route and sell themselves a couple of multi-story car parks and their women's
They've already
team.
sold the women's side to themselves, haven't they? They follow Chelsea on that score.
They just got to find a couple of multi-story car parks, then, haven't they?
There's plenty in Birmingham.
I think we've kind of covered like the Spurs already, so
Yeah,
we'll
I've got the
move
same
on.
sentiments as Scott, so I won't be adding much to it.
Fair enough. Again, Europa League places, and I will say for someone that is quite left field and has a wild card in his back pocket every now and again, it's quite nice again to see that you guys are quite close to me in terms of my predictions. Obviously, that wild card is there with Manchester United, but all three of us have got Newcastle to finish 5th or 6th. And again, you're not too far off with that Villa pick, so that brings me a little bit of comfort. Let's get into Newcastle before I wax lyrical about how Amarin's turned a corner through the summer.
He's on a circle, Darren. He's on a permanent corner. He keeps going round and round.
Yeah. Lots of press speculation saying that Isak's not going to be there. Probably by the end, but probably even by the time that this podcast goes out on Monday. Plenty of speculation that Isak's not going to be there. He didn't obviously travel with them to Singapore. Was it Singapore? They did the pre-season.
Yeah.
Newcastle actually ended up.
He was injured, and that they gave him time off.
Yeah.
Gave him time off, but then was pictured at Real Sociedad training.
Yeah.
Which was an odd one. We've seen free agents turn up at old clubs for training and keeping fit, but not like active players. That it was a bit odd, wasn't it? It was a bit of a weird one.
It makes it sound like they've let him go there to clear his head. I think that's
it makes sense because Sociedad have a 10% sell on for him.
Interesting. Okay.
So if they keep him fit, push the envelope, and Liverpool stump up that 150 mil, I mean they stand to get 10% off that, so it suits them to let him use their facilities.
You make an absolute valid point. 15 million quid would get you past a few doors, I imagine.
Just letting him use the gym a couple of times a week. Yeah.
It's an expensive gym membership, mind.
Isn't it? So on Newcastle, I put a message in our group chat about them having an absolutely disastrous transfer window, and it got rebuffed by yourself. And I listed the players that they were in pole position to sign and haven't signed any of them. That to me shows the level of where Newcastle are punching. They lost out in the João Pedro, Cunha, in Buemo, Trafford, and there's a few others. They look like they're going to lose their star player. It's been a disastrous transfer window for a team that's trying to push on. I mean, don't forget they got Champions League. They got to bolster that squad. Not they're going for the right caliber of player, but just not attracting them. So there has to be reason for that.
Listen, I totally get where you're coming from in terms of like that. They're not nailing down these players that they want to strengthen the team. You're absolutely right. Champions League football should be at the forefront of their mind, and they should be going after these types of players. What I will say is that if you're a Newcastle fan, and you of all the trials and tribulations that team has been through, particularly over the last sort of 10 years, I know it's been a bit sweet for the last 2 or 3 with the new ownership, but you've seen your team relegated twice to the championship. The Newcastle United in the championship twice in the last 10 years, and you're now coming second place for signings against the likes of City and Real Madrid and Liverpool and Chelsea, because you're actually able to compete for those types of players. I think that's a massive leg up in terms of where they were not more than 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, but
it's a huge jump.
Got to bring that into the modern. They're the richest club in world football in terms of their owners. Obviously, they can't spend it because the rules restrict them. But to lose out on those types of players, I think just shows where their pulling power is, and it's not anywhere near that top 4 where they're trying to break into it. I mean, they're losing. They lost in Buemo and Cunha to Man United. As Dale will tell you in our group, that Man United are a bigger club. End of story, which is factually true. But they haven't been as successful as Newcastle in the last few seasons. But yet Newcastle find themselves losing players to them. Chelsea, James Trafford, by all account, was on a plane heading to Newcastle when City called and he's got off the plane and joined
Sure.
City. You know, it just smacks us. There's something not quite right. Throw the Isak situation in there. Oh, Ekitike, he was the one after that they lost out on, and it looks like they're going to lose Sesko as well to United. That's terrible. You can't go into a season pinning your hopes on Anthony Gordon and Harvey Barnes, and and saying that signing Alanga and a backup goalkeeper is a good transfer window, because it really isn't. If you're not getting your first choice, then you're down to second, third options, aren't you? So you're not buying those players that you really want.
I think the point is, this was the season that they kick on.
Yeah.
But they'd won a trophy for the first time in many years. They've got Champions League football. They've ticked a lot of boxes to make themselves attractive as a club. I think the main thing that they're not competing with for all those players is the wage structure. They haven't got the wage structure within Newcastle to compete. And Mbeumo is on 200 plus K. I don't even think Isak's on that at Newcastle now.
120, I think it's been reported, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and I imagine he's probably one of their highest paid players. So they clearly don't have that level of wage structure to be able to give the type of money that the likes of Chelsea, the likes of Man United would have given, probably João Pedro and so on and so forth. And probably, again, maybe similar to Sesko, but then again, the money that's being thrown around for Sesko, I can see why Arsenal pulled out. After all that, we've bamboozled ourselves in why we've put them in 5th and 6th.
God damn it! Looks like we're going to be doing plenty of shots in this season review. I just wanted to talk about
to Man United, why you've got them higher than us.
Yes, yeah, I want to get onto my United pick. I think it's not just simply based on the summer series in totality. Obviously, that's the only thing that we've got to run on over the summer period. But tactically, I just think Amorim has got it kind of figured out now. Like, he kind of knows which players can work in this system and which are definitely not. Chief amongst them, obviously, were players like Antony, Garnacho, Rashford, which have all pretty much been cleared out of the squad. Scott, you mentioned earlier about like trying to get this system to work for Fernandes as well, and that he should be number 10 and calling the shots in and around that top third of the pitch. Well, he actually played number 10 in 2 out of the 3 summer series games, and you were concerned about that middle section of the pitch.
Well, he played in Mbeumo up top, didn't he, as the number 9, which obviously he's not going to do, which is why they're after Sesko. So if they land Sesko, it'll be him, Cunha, Mbeumo, and Fernandes will have to sit in the 8 and play alongside Ugarte, which is not his role. Yeah, I read the other day that it's just a weird conundrum for Amorim, because Fernandes is their star player, their best player by a long shot, and he doesn't fit that 3 at the back system. Yeah, it just seems a weird way for Amorim to go around trying to shoehorn him into that system. But he should be playing as the 10, but they've signed two big money players to play there.
Well, I think Fernandes will play as the 10. I'm going to disagree with you. I think Fernandes will definitely play as the 10. I can see Mbeumo.
Who?
I can. I mean, that is his established position.
But they've signed Cunha and Mbeumo to play there.
Yeah.
Have they though?
Yeah, because he likes to play 2 number 10s that drift out wide.
No, I get that. I understand that.
Fernandes won't be doing any drifting out wide for sure.
What I will say is that in Mbeumo against Everton in that summer series game, he looked quality in that number 9 role, running the channels, making space. Just it made that United side in that formation, in those tactics, just tick over really nicely. Had Kobbie Mainoo and Ugarte in the 6 and the 8. It just looked right. It just looked like it was the right way to go. Fernandes and Cunha as the 2 number 10s. You're absolutely right. Like, Fernandes is going to play that role with the idea that he's going to drift out wide and not be as central as what he probably would want to be. But equally, like, if it works, then that's what you've got to go with, right? Yeah, maybe they are just like one player away. Maybe they are a Sesko away from kicking on and being in that number 6 position. But
what we'll say, that summer series, Dorgu's looked very good.
Yeah,
very much so. As has Ahmad on the other side as well.
Yeah, I mean, but Dorgu, he came in last season and didn't really show a great deal. But in that established wing back role. He looks great, getting very far forward, pushing beyond Cunha the other night, getting to the byline. Look good.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for FPL picks,
4.5 mil.
I've got him in a couple of drafts.
Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I'm desperate to get Fernandes in my team. I've done it a few times, got him in because I think he's the key to United. I mean, if you're right, Darren, they're going to have a successful season like you got him now. I think Fernandes is the key to making it work, but he has to be further closer to goal than if he's going to play the 8. He's going to be too far back to influence it in that attacking sort of third.
Yeah, totally agree. I think the only other player to highlight with respect to a successful United season, and if you want an asset from that United midfield that could pick up some decent points, particularly with the introduction of DEFCON, I would definitely look at Manuel Ugarte as well. Like, he looked really solid through the summer, playing number 8, but also pushing a bit further forwards. He's got that. He's got those tackles. He's got those interceptions. He's got those recoveries and that forward pass as well.
Well, I was going to ask Paul actually because the forgotten man at United, and I know Amron actually loves him, Mason Mount. You can pick him up for $6 million. If you go back a couple of seasons, he was a phenomenal player. Brilliant for England, brilliant for Chelsea. If he's fit and firing, he's a hell of an asset for him.
I did also notice that he's on corners and free kicks when Fernandes isn't on the pitch. So if Fernandes does have a period of injury or a period away from the squad, then Mason Mount at $6 million is a great.
Again, it's just where you play him.
Yeah. Again, his best position is that number 10 role, but again, he doesn't really drift out wide, similar to Fernandes. So he's probably going to have to play that 8 role when Fernandes is not there, and so. Yeah, that would be my thoughts on him. Is his minutes? He's only realistically going to be a super sub, or when Fernandes is not in that 8 role for me. But yeah, I get your point. He's played pretty well over preseason. I think he's got a couple of goals. Looks a bit more lively. But yeah, again, his injury record would also make me slightly apprehensive.
I think that's the most contentious set of positions that we've had discussed so far, but let's get into even more contentious, or maybe not so much.
They're all the same.
Yeah, it's those coveted Champions League spots, and that's obviously to say that actually in the last 2 seasons, I think 5th has actually qualified for the Champions League as well because of coefficients and everything else like that. Traditionally, it's the top 4 teams that get automatic qualification. Paul, you've got Arsenal coming second, much like myself. In fact, actually, myself and you we're identical. We've got Arsenal second, City in third, Chelsea in fourth, and Scott, you've got City in second, Arsenal in third, and Chelsea in fourth. Let's just have a quick chat about Chelsea, because I think that's probably the most foregone conclusion from our 3 picks, in that they will probably be the nearly men throughout the season. They'll have some nice runs, some nice results throughout the year, but they just won't have enough to crack that top 3.
Yeah, there's plenty enough quality in that side. I saw an amazing stat earlier. They've signed 49 players in 4 years. And for example, if you take Liverpool, their 49th signing was in 2015.
Wow.
You look at the difference of how quickly they've built that team. There's so many new signings. Like, that's the problem for me. As I look at that Chelsea side, I couldn't name the starting 11. I could make a good stab of it, and I probably...
It's Palmer and 10 others, isn't it?
Exactly. Like, who starts as the number 9? Is it Delap? Is it João Pedro? Does João Pedro play out wide? Then what happens to Bino Gittins they've just bought, or Esteval, the Brazilian wonder kid they've just bought? And then they're also looking at another winger, aren't they? Simmons. Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, I know they've got so many options. It's like, who do you pick? Like, from an FPL point of view, I know they will get an established 11 as the season goes on, and it'll become clear on which players to pick. But I do think having the size of squad and having that lack of consistency with regards to their starting 11, because I think Maresca loves to tinker. He loves to chop and change his team, and I think that takes away from them being a real threat.
Well, I think the top 4 are going to be the top 4. I think it's pretty obvious. I struggled with the the positions, the final positions that these teams are going to finish in. I had Chelsea finishing second at one point. I think they have the quality to push on. I think City are going to have a better year. I think Arsenal are going to have a better year, but I've got them in finishing third. It's going to be highly competitive. Liverpool, we've got them all winning the league. They've got a lot of new faces to bleed into that side. So that's not a foregone conclusion. That's going to work. So question marks are these top four. They spent so much money each that it could be in any order, to be honest. And I hope for a competitive point of view that it goes close, that Liverpool don't run away with it, that the Arsenal don't fade away. I hope that they're all tightly bunched, and it's like you said last week, it's the final day of the season, 4-way tie. Winner takes all would be pretty fantastic, and I can see that sort of thing happening.
Yeah, I think that'll be best for everybody in terms of from an entertainment perspective, right? I think it became quickly apparent that City weren't going to challenge last year, and it really kind of locked out the top three sides from last year. Although City did end up finishing third, I think it was one of those ones where it was kind of a 2-horse race for really long stretches of the season last year. So I mean, it would be great to have all four of those teams really kind of scrapping, taking points off of each other, having little slip-ups and little blips throughout the season. Yeah, I mean, all the better for our FPL teams, right? Like, you have a Mo Salah blank week, and then you've got a Victor Gyökeres hat-trick at the same time. Like, it's going to be an interesting play.
Do you think that those top four have now sort of pulled away from the rest?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's probably the fear for the teams that are below, the likes of Newcastle, Villa, Tottenham, Man United. Is the problem is that Champions League money is so vast that if you qualify it for every year, that's what 50 to 100 million, almost guaranteed. And it means you can spend more, so you outlay more. And the more consecutive seasons you qualify and the other teams don't, the further you pull away in your spending power. And that's obviously shown that, even a couple of seasons consecutive for Arsenal, we can quite confidently outspend the likes of Man United and Spurs without having to worry about FFP.
You're sort of competing on a completely different level to the rest of the league, those four clubs, aren't they? Highlighted by the spends in this window, and it's not finished yet. I mean, if Liverpool do get Isak for 150 million, I mean that's money that no one else can afford to stretch to.
That would take your spending to close to 500 million.
Massive. I mean, there's lots of money floating around in the world of football right now. We're very aware of that. I think Chelsea picked up 150 million from the Club World Cup. If you were to do the Premier League and the Champions League double, depending on obviously how many games that you won in that group stage of the Champions League as well, let's assume that you dominate and you come away with like 7 wins or whatever, and then go through the knockout stages and win all your games there and win the tournament outright, plus the Premier League as a double, you'd be looking at around about 700 million pounds in prize money. So imagine doing that on a consistent basis. Not obviously doing the double on a consistent basis, but like being in the top 2 of the Premier League and then consistently hitting somewhere around the semi-finals of the Champions League.
These top 4 will be doing that. I mean, I think that's now been established, right? So we talk about Newcastle just now about trying to break into that top 4 and losing out on all their top targets because they just can't stretch that far because the top 4 are just so far. The only other team that can get back into there is probably United.
Yeah,
because they do have the pulling power. If they get success on the pitch in the next season or 2, they could get back into and break that monopoly. Just add a 5th team to that list. But for Villa and Newcastle and Spurs, very, very, very difficult.
I think it's just the commercials for United, isn't it? I mean, that's what comes with being one of the biggest teams in the world. And I always kind of tried to argue against that, particularly over the last sort of 6-7 years, because they haven't been the biggest team in the world with regards to domestic or European success.
No, but
they are.
From historical and just the size, I mean, the reach around the world they have.
But that's what I'm saying.
Huge.
That's what I'm saying. That the commercial side is massive. Like I think that even at their worst, so last year they finished 16th, 17th. I can't remember exactly, but they pulled in nearly £900 million in commercial revenue. It's just ridiculous. And that's without winning any trophies, without going deep into European competitions. And that's been consistent as well over the last 2 or 3 years. Tip the balance at just under £1 billion in revenue is crazy for a
so if you
team.
had a bit of success on the pitch, consistent success,
Yeah,
then it wouldn't take much for them to be back in there.
100%. No, absolutely not. Agreed. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think Stevie Wonder could probably work out who we've all got as
The
champions.
most limp drum roll.
Yeah. Obviously, it's a unanimous Liverpool as champions. I think we've touched on it a little bit in terms of the money that they've spent, the team that they've built. That they've kind of a little bit, kind of ran away with it a little bit at the back end of last season. I think the gap was something like 10, 11 points in the end.
Well, they looked winners from a long way out, didn't they?
They did.
Probably pre-Christmas, they looked the team. They were going to do it. There's no sort of doubt. So from a competitive point of view, you hope this season is tighter. But with the players that they brought in, you would say on paper, competition is done already. But also, football doesn't work that way. Trying to bed all those new players, losing Trent, huge miss, huge loss. Obviously, the tragedy with Diego Jota. Let's not forget. Hard to replace. There might be a feeling around the camp, with that sort of situation. So it's not a foregone conclusion. And I hope from a competitive point of view that it is proper meaty and proper tight. And, from a neutral, sorry to say, Paul, but from a neutral, I want it to be nip and tuck. And, I want them all to lose points. And, proper titanic struggle.
Yeah. I look at that Liverpool side, and if I could pick the players to replace the players that they got rid of, they've bought the perfect players, in my opinion. The likes of Frimpong, Kirkes, the perfect right back and left back for their system, for sure. Ekitike, great signing. Again, can play up front. Looks like he's probably going to play out left if Isak goes in there. But again, that front three is mouth-watering. And then, they've again got a very steady, commanding midfield. So there isn't many weaknesses. I guess the only weakness is whether the likes of Wirtz, who is going in there to be their talisman, whether he is going to take time to settle, because it can happen. And again, as similar with all their signings, really, similar with anyone's signings, is whether they take any time to settle. And I think from an Arsenal perspective, I haven't really spoke about them yet, but from an Arsenal perspective, I think for Arsenal to go from that second to first place, I think we need a competitive three-way, at least a three-way battle.
Yeah.
Because
you're taking points of each other.
All taking points of each other. So then it's not so life-changing when you draw to Fulham on Boxing Day and you go, season done. Whereas, if they're all taking points of each other and it's tighter, then Arsenal, you never know, might go under the radar.
I think that's what I think.
That's my only hope, really, which again sounds quite defeatist when you look at all the signings that we've made. And I think, we're definitely being improved. We've got that focal point number 9 now, which I'm hoping will put more balls in the back of the net and take some reliance off Saka, and then obviously get the better of Saka in the long run. But we're going to need a little bit of, I think, lady luck. Less red cards this year, hopefully, and less dodgy VAR decisions wouldn't go amiss to help us in the title challenge.
Yeah, I will follow up on that and just say, look, if any side is going to challenge Liverpool for the title or usurp them as champion, it has to be a case of that Arsenal, City, Chelsea, maybe even to some degree Newcastle and United, for me anyway, are competing with those sides and taking points off each other. Because, as you rightly said, Paul, like drawing to Fulham on Boxing Day, and I mean, I think even actually for Arsenal last season, I think that the crucial moment in the season was that Boxing Day and New Year's Day back-to-back draws.
Yeah,
like everybody had then basically written you off.
Well, that was season defining, and then obviously you get the injuries of Havertz. Straight away.
But the fact is that
culminates. Yeah.
But the point is that there was still 12 games left of the game of the season left to play. We had to have 4 months. 4 months left to play out, and it was a write off because you'd done back-to-back draws. Whereas, if Liverpool are then following up with fixtures against City, against Chelsea, against Newcastle, against United, and you think that actually there might be something in those fixtures where they might be able to slip up and lose, then of course, that period of time over Christmas becomes less jeopardy, almost, in terms of having back-to-back bad results, maybe.
But that's what it takes, right? You got to be almost near perfect. So whoever wins the league will be almost near perfect. I guess from Arsenal, City, Chelsea, you're just hoping that they are the ones that get those wins against the teams you should beat, and you take more points off your rivals. So that those big head-to-heads amongst the top four, whoever comes out on top overall in those four probably defines who wins the league.
Yeah, totally agree. Let's wrap up the episode with a little chat about who we believe then is going to complement those league positions with the Golden Boot, the Assist King, and the Golden Glove. I think we could probably keep it reasonably brief, because I feel like some of the same players might pop up unless there's a little wild card that hops out on us. But we will. So, I mean, the wild card's normally my shout, isn't it? But let's kick off with Golden Boot. Let's just go in order. I'll say who.
Darren, you can't have Jared Bowen being Golden Boot and having West Ham being relegated. Okay, the math doesn't work.
I mean, there was a period in time where Crystal Palace got relegated and Andy Johnson scored 20 goals in the season. It can happen.
He did, but we conceded 100 goals that year.
For me, it's quite straightforward. I think it's fairly obvious. I think Isak is going to be the man up there, whether or not he's at Newcastle or Liverpool. I think he has to be the guy that gets the Golden Boot. I think it's the same player that I highlighted last year, and he wasn't far off of it. It was only really a kind of once in a blue moon season from Salah that really stopped him from gunning for the Golden Boot. So yeah, for me, it's Alexander Isak, and that's both at Newcastle and at Liverpool, depending on where he lands.
He's going to be top scorer twice.
Yeah, why not? Cool.
For two clubs.
I don't know how you can describe Salah as a once in the blue moon season.
You mean his output last season was phenomenal, wasn't it?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay. Apologies. Yeah. Well, yes. For me, it's Salah, Golden Boot. He's Mr. Consistent. The guy, last 5 years, I think he's got 2 seasons below 20 goals, and even then it was 19 and 18 goals. So it's a toss up. But yeah, every other season, last 5 has been above 20. So he's going to be there or thereabouts for sure.
Well, I'm going to go for Gyökeres.
Wow.
Oh.
I think he comes in. I think Arsenal score bundles. I think him and Saka link up because they're both good footballers. I think he's the Golden Boot. Although I've got you down at finishing third, he'd be nip and tuck. I'm hoping it'd be nip and tuck.
Typical Arsenal to have the Golden Boot winner and finish third. It would be so Arsenal.
It's the striker you've been crying out for years. I think you got him. I think he'll score the goals. Ultimately, he'll score you the goals to finish third.
Thanks, mate. That warms my heart.
So, regression, not progression.
I think it's always progression. It's just those 4 are just moving at a different rate. Like we just said, if the other 3 were stood still, Arsenal win the title, but that's not how it's going to be.
Fair enough. I think that leads in quite nicely to who I've got down as my assist king. I've gone with Bukayo Saka. I think the guy is an absolute magician, and he's been crying out for a bit of muscle up front to ping those balls into. On corners, mercurial down that right hand side, and it's only going to take a few slip balls into the channel and Gyökeres to finish for Saka to pile up the assists for me. Scott, if you've got Gyökeres down as Golden Boot, let's call it 25 goals. I think Saka is probably going to put it on the plate 15, 16 times. Yeah, I think, assist king, Bukayo Saka for me.
Well, if you look at my latest drafts, I'm absolutely nailed on Saka and Gyökeres double up every single, because I think that they will hit it off. But I've got Mo. Assist king for me is going to be Mo. I think he'll get more assists than goals this season. I think the goals might be shared around at Liverpool with the quality they've got in. I think Mo for me as the assist king.
Awesome.
I've also gone Bukayo Saka. So he got 10 assists from 20 starts last season. He's very consistent with his assists being above that 10 mark. Mo kind of blew everybody out of the water last year with, I think, 18 assists. That's not the usual. So
did he finish top of both stats last
He
year?
did.
yeah, that's correct.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's almost like it was a blue moon season, really, wasn't it?
Don't call them a blue moon season.
Mm.
So I think the usual is around that 14, 15 mark. I would suggest, and yeah, I would expect Saka with more starts.
Just on Saka,
We'll get there.
do you think his minutes will be better managed, more cleverly managed? Because in the past he's been flogged, hasn't he? Now that Malawaki is there, do you think he will maybe miss the odd game or get some early benches in some games?
I would hope so. I would have thought that's the reason to bring Madueke in. Maybe he gets rotated out for the early cup games, even the Champions League against teams that we're maybe expected to beat or more likely to beat. Maybe rest him for certain away trips so he's fit for important home games the following weekend or something. I would expect so. Whether that happens in reality, only Arteta knows. Because he does
I can definitely see that happening, and I can definitely assume that that's the reason why Madueke has been brought in, as much as the price tag for I guess a rotation player is a bit contentious. You know, we're living in worlds where players
Going right now, isn't it?
yeah, exactly, players quite regularly go for 60, 70 million that are much worse. So yeah, I can see Madueke playing things like League Cup, doing, you know, fourth round, fifth round FA Cup trips away to Doncaster and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? I think it will be those types of games where we see Madueke more. And as Paul rightly said, like the group stages of the Champions League when you're facing FC Tbilisi or whatever it bloody
Well,
well
I'm
is.
just thinking league games where Saka plays 90 minutes. You might see an end of that he plays 77 and Malawaki comes on.
Don't
So
care
then
as long as he gets.
Saka's appeal maybe diminishes a wee bit.
No, as long as he gets those 2 points, that's all I care about. I don't want no 57-minute merchant. That's, do without that.
He should be good for that.
Yeah, I reckon so. And Golden Glove, yeah, I'm on the Arsenal train again with this one. I gone David Raya. I think consistently over the last 2 or 3 seasons, they've been one of the strongest defenses. I think David Raya was even actually Golden Glove in the last 2 seasons as well, or close to it at
You
least.
share it with Sells last year.
Sells, okay, yeah. That's why. I mean, Matt Sells was actually number 2 on my list as well, because again, just statistically, just look at the strongest defenses, right? And it logic dictates that they will keep the most clean sheets. So it's not rocket science. But yeah, David Raya for me for Golden Glove.
Yeah, I'm boring. I'm the same reasons. Arsenal got the best defence in the league statistically for the last couple of seasons. I don't see that changing dramatically this season. So yeah, that's why it'd be my pick.
Well, I've gone a little bit rogue. I've done a Darren here. I'm reading between the lines. I've gone James Trafford. I think he does come in as City as number 1. I think he's been told that. I see an improved City defence.
It's a bold move for him to go there if he's going to be number 2, right?
I don't understand it. He left there in the first place, didn't he? He left there in the first place because he was given no assurances. Now he's come back. He must have been given assurances. Absolutely sure.
It's also as well. We talk about price tags. £27 million for a goalkeeper that's going to be sat on the bench. That doesn't make any sense. Like if they're playing the Scott Carson rule here, where they need someone to tick off the homegrown thing, there's better players out there that will quite happily sit in the reserves for the next 3 years than going out and spending £27 million on a player that's 23, 24 years old.
Well, it'd be interesting when the shirts are produced. I mean, I've now been following a site on Twitter that's official, verified site that have Trafford as the number 1. So, you know, not official from us. I'm not saying that's going to be the case, but if he is, which makes perfect sense with the price tag and everything, then I've got him down because I think City will be improved dramatically defensively anyway.
Is he 4 or 4.5 million on FPL?
Well, this is the weird thing. So he comes into the game as a Burnley goalkeeper, priced at 5 mil.
Wow.
Now that's FPL knowing that he's going to get a move because Newcastle was the destination, right? They courted him all winter, and and ultimately lost out for a phone call. You want to come back to City? Yeah. Only as number 1 though. Yeah. Get back. That's how the conversation went. Get off that plane.
It's you keep talking about this plane journey. It's
Have you not seen the picture? He tweeted a picture on his Instagram. He's on a private jet. Him, his dad, I think, and his agent.
Burnley.
Just about to take off with the caption like "Away the lads," and then literally he's got off the plane and got on another plane to City. Yeah,
you could bloody walk to Newcastle or City for that matter from Burnley.
They were paying for a private charter. I mean, why wouldn't you? There's a mini bar on board and strippers.
He's in the air for 15 minutes.
Yeah. Well, it was a shorter flight to Manchester.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. No, I think it's a wild card, obviously, but I think it's a great pick. I think you pick a number 1 goalkeeper at a top 4 side. You're in with a shout. And I think James Trafford's season last year in the Championship, he was like 30 clean sheets last year. It's a Championship record, EFL record.
On Player of the Season.
Yeah,
on Burnley Player of the Season. I mean, he's a hell of a goalkeeper. Let's not forget because he's a hell of a goalkeeper. So yeah.
I still remember
as well. Perfect for Man City.
Yes, still remember that penalty save in the under 21 Euros as well against Spain. What a boy! It wouldn't be a 3 at the back podcast season predictions if we didn't finish with our sack race.
My favourite part of this.
I actually won something last year. I called it on the nose. Erik ten Hag to be gone by game week 10, and it was on the money. Game week 10 was just about to hit deadline, and we all got the notification that Ten Hag had got the tin tack. Not that many things really improved with Amorim throughout the back end, throughout the mid and back end of last season, but that's in the history books. We move forward to the new season. The sack race this year, though, I feel like is a bit easy. I think it's been a bit predetermined. There's been lots of online chatter with this particular manager probably not even making it to game week 1. So it's a first for the sack race.
Does it count if it's
that's a good question.
Doesn't count, surely.
Are we not counting it?
If it happens before game week 1, then no.
Interesting. Okay.
But I think you'll make it to game week 1.
Can we all shout the player now, shout the manager now, and then maybe pick someone different? Or how do you want to do it?
No, because I think that his sacking is what will galvanise the team to stay up.
Interesting. Okay. So I am going to go Daniel Farke for Leeds United. I think there's as I say, a lot of online discourse, a lot of chatter that he's not going to be the man that takes Leeds throughout this Premier League season. I respect that we're actually only 2 weeks away from kicking the first ball in anger, and a decision is yet to be made. So as Scott rightly says, he may well make it to game week 1. But yeah, I will be very surprised if Daniel Farke is still the Leeds manager before game week 5, and that's where I'm putting my hat. Game week 5 will be potentially the earliest Premier League sacking in history.
I think they'll give him a bit of grace, but I do think he will be fired ultimately pretty early, because you don't have all that chatter pre-season, having won the title. I mean, how disrespectful is that? I mean, that's shocking. They must really not fancy the guy.
Does it count if he walks?
Yeah.
Excellent. Great success.
Yeah.
Let's get Farke on the phone now. Let's chat shit.
I think he lasts a bit longer than you think he's going to. I think Leeds start the season poor. They'll get destroyed in game week 2 against Arsenal, which is my prediction. And on the back of that, all the noise will start again. I think he'll probably make it to sort of 7 or 8 game week, and then he'll lose his job. They obviously have thought about this. Whoever they have lined up will been spoke to probably already. And I think that will galvanise Leeds to stay up eventually at Brentford's expense.
Gareth Southgate.
No, they're gonna employ a proper manager.
Paolo, your prediction for sack race?
I'm gonna go for Scott Parker.
Yep, not a bad shout.
Yeah, I just think from his time in the Premier League, he looked pretty tactically inept.
He's lost 30 out of 52 games in the Premier League.
Yeah, unwilling to adapt his tactic when losing. Yeah, I just feel I can't imagine again. Don't pretend to have watched a lot of the Championship last season, so I'm not going to comment too much on that. But I don't think that his tactics would have changed too much. So yeah, I have my concerns that they might fall down a slippery slope pretty quickly.
Do you not think they come up? We touched on it before. They come up with a different profile than the other teams because they're so defensively sound. I mean, minus Trafford, obviously, but they come up with such a strong defensive record. They're going to obviously play that way. And I think to survive, you have to play that way. I think you got to be more pragmatic than on the front foot. So I think he might be given a bit of grace because if they in games, a bit like Ipswich last season, if they're in games not being blown away, then I think he might survive a bit longer.
Just with that tactic for a team that's going to be down there struggling anyway, you've got no way of changing your game up. So even against like teams that are going to be down there with them, if they go 1-0 down,
well, they just signed the two lads from Chelsea, haven't they? Brozier and I can't remember the other lad. They just signed for 20 mil off Chelsea's books. One of the lot that wasn't registered.
Was it multi-story car park B?
No, I mean they made some decent signings.
Let me. I'll have a quick. You chat amongst yourselves. I'll have a quick Google and save face for you.
I get your point. His record as a manager in the Premier League is abysmal, and I don't particularly think he's that tactically astute as a manager anyway. But I think if you come up with that strong defence, you have the foundations to build on. Yeah. And if you, like I say, if you're in games, then you stand a better chance than if you're trying to play on the front foot and getting blown away like Southampton were last season.
Yeah, it's just the level of attacks that they're going to be coming up against. It's going to really test how durable that defence is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bashir Humphreys is the other one.
No, they signed him. They signed him yesterday. They signed him yesterday. Brozier and on the tip of my tongue.
It's not coming up. It's not coming up on Transfermarkt just yet, but Bashir Humphreys is the other Chelsea player that they've signed
last season. Humphreys, yeah.
Oh wait, what? 25? Oh, filter by season 25-26. That's not right.
Yeah, I think they had Humphreys on loan, didn't they, last season, and signed him permanently at the end of the season.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's why it's coming up as a transfer this season. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not come up on Transfermarkt just yet, so I can't help you. Sorry, unless it's on Sky Sports. Yeah, no, I totally respect the thoughts behind Scott Parker being part of the sack race, and yeah, I think.
Do you see on this? Do you see any of the established managers in the sort of higher ends being at threat early on if they start poorly? An Arteta or something?
Well, Arsenal fans are a little bit neurotic for sure, and we have probably the toughest start on paper than any other team. If we get 6 games in and we've lost half of them, then possibly.
If you lost 3 of the first 6, I mean, the title's done.
Well, yeah, exactly my point. Exactly.
After we just spent 15 minutes talking about like how those types of results are not going to kill the season so early on.
Well, that's what we've got to hope, isn't it? That's what we've got to hope.
But you play City and Liverpool in the first 5, right?
Yeah.
And
it's tough open.
Newcastle, Forest.
Yeah, very tough, yeah. But it could be season defining if you win those.
If we win those, then exactly. I'm trying to look at it as a positive. I think, like I said, defensively, our record against them against both of those is pretty good. Newcastle are a bit of a slippery one for us, but maybe no Isak, no problem. Who knows?
Yeah,
I did find that name for you in the end, Scotty. It was Leslie Ugachukwu.
That's the guy.
Yes.
It's like him and Broya together, I think, should give them a bit of firepower to.
How Chelsea are managing to profit off a lot of these players despite having such minimal Premier League experience, I don't know how
They
they
just
do it.
sold Carney as well to Dortmund for profit.
It's crazy how they managed to do it. How are they doing it?
It's a farming
Yeah.
system, isn't it?
It's
They
crazy.
got some of the best training facilities. They got some of the best coaches. They're just farming out 20, 21, 23, 24-year-olds that have probably been on loan at Serie A, Bundesliga, Liga 1. If you look at those players' histories, you probably find that they've been on loan at the top end of some of the European divisions as well.
Yeah, it's a tactic
Which
that's
makes-
worked them well anyway. Fair
Yeah,
play to them.
absolutely. Absolutely. They've run out of car parks to sell. Okay, I think we will call the episode there. Thank you very much, boys. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. I will just reiterate, if you've made it this far, thank you. Please like, subscribe, share it around. Mini League auto join link will be in the description. It's also at the very beginning of this video, the Mini League code. So please do come and join us, take us on, challenge us, and leave us your thoughts in the comments. Like,
Leave your predictions down below.
Yes, comments down below. Get involved. Let's have a conversation. Who do you think's going to go down? Who's going to be the champions? Is there any kind of like wild card suggestions that you've got for us for golden boot, assists, golden glove, that sort of thing? Let's have a chat. Let's get involved. We are literally in the countdown to the season. I did say earlier on in this video that we are less than 2 weeks, but actually by the time this video goes out, we will be 5 short days away from Fantasy Football Fest.
And me and Paul are going to
London.
be spending the next 5 days in a field in the middle of nowhere with no reception. So we're relying on you, Darren, on Monday to fill us in the last 5 days of what's been going on.
Amazing. Yeah, sounds good. I'll keep on top of that, along with being a parent during the summer holidays and having a full-time job.
Priorities, mate.
Enjoy.
All right, boys. Enjoy the rest of your evenings, what's left of it, and I will catch you next week.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.